This is not what I thought following Christ would be. Yeah. This is way more than I imagined my life could be. Yeah. Your power and your love, it overrides my past and starts a brand new day. Your truth and your life, it outshines the bad and lights a brand new way. I just wanna live right for you, lay down for your glory to my love is more than words. I just wanna live right for you, lay down for your glory to my love is more than words, more than words. Baptize me, Lord, with your spirit and holy fire. Yeah. Let us lift the name of Jesus higher and higher. Yeah. You heal blinded eyes, cause deaf ears to hear. Awake the ones who sleep. You find all the ones you know are unwell and get them on their feet. I just wanna live.
I just wanna live my life to
down for
you.
your glory to my love.
love
Is more than words.
more than words.
I just wanna live.
I just wanna
live
my life for you.
glory to my
My
love.
love
Is
is more than words. It's more than
I
words.
just wanna live.
I just wanna live my life to
down
you.
for your glory to my love.
love
Is more than words.
It's more than words.
I just wanna live.
I just wanna
live
my life for you.
glory to my
My
love.
love
Is
is more than words. It's more than words.
More than words. More than words. Jesus, my love is more than words. More than words. More than words. Jesus, my love is more than words.
Yo, fresh laces, new laces. I'll meet you, tell me where the place is. Location, set motivation. Well done, sir, standing ovation. Top notch guy, you get the top nine. Better than the best man, you're the best guy. Everything I need over and under the sun. Your name holding my world all in one.
Let's go there. Lay down for your glory to. Lay down for your glory to. Live life for you. Live life for you. Lay down for your glory to. Lay down for your glory to. Let's go there. Let's go there.
Numbers 23:19 says, God is not a man that he should lie, neither the son of man that he should repent. If he said it, he's gonna do it. Come on, Shabbat. Come on, say, don't be anxious for in everything. So hold fast to your faith. Say he's gonna do it. Come on, everybody, say he's gonna do it. I know you've been wondering. See it, everybody else. Say wait. It will surely come. Don't be anxious. everything. He has an appointed time. Come on, choir, say he's gonna do it. Everything that he's spoken over your life, he's gonna do it. Trust in him and don't you fret. Come on, let's encourage somebody. Say it again with assurance. Stand on his promises. He's gonna do it.
Connecting the community through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB,
Macon and WDDO 980 AM,
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with GWENETTE, Westbrook, and Mr. Dumas.
And good evening, and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie Dumas, your host, along with President Westbrooks, and we're so happy you could join us on this Monday, which is a little cloudy. Even though it's not cloudy weather-wise, it's kind of cloudy in our hearts, in that we know that we've lost one of our own, Mr. Otis Redding III, which he will have a viewing today. Beginning at 4 o'clock from 4 to 6. And of course, what we wanted to do today is to just talk about some of the service that he did here in the community. You know, President Westbrooks and myself was having a conversation earlier, and just the fact that many times, you know, entertainers and people that, you know, have a certain amount of fame, a lot of times they donate their monies, but he donated his time and his efforts. And so we applaud him for that. He served as president of the Meals on Wheels program, and he also served on the board for the Macon Transit Authority.
Yes.
And so he was very active in our community. And of course, we're definitely going to miss him in that capacity, as well as in the entertainment industry as well. I see Billboard magazine did a write-up, you know, talking about his contributions to music. We know that in the 80s, he and his brothers formed a funk band called the Reddings.
Yeah.
And we remember a lot of their tunes. One of them in particular, Remote Control, went pretty high on the Billboard charts and was in the top 100, along with Call the Law. And we, you know, we remember those songs if those of us who, you know, were listening back in the 80s. And so our prayers and our condolences go out to the Redding family, and also to those who are connected with the Redding Foundation, because we know they are in the process of erecting a facility right in the heart of Macon,
Right.
that deals with young people and helping them to learn how to play instruments and getting how to get into the music industry. And so he's definitely going to be missed. And we do hope that people realize the importance of what he contributed to the community.
Right. We have someone just came on, Amy Brazil, said, hello, good evening. Good evening to
Good
you, Ms.
evening.
Brazil. Yes, and we know that that family has contributed a lot to the community, even dated back to his dad, Otis Redding.
Absolutely.
In the music industry. So we want to thank them for sharing Mr. Redding with us and allowing him to be a part of the music industry in the community also, because a lot of times, even though you're a musician and you're active in the community and participating in different events and different things that's contributing to our community. It can take up a lot of your time. And so we
Right.
just want to thank Mr. Redding for his dedication to our community.
Right, because we can't take for granted, when people give their time and their talents,
Right.
to the community. Because many times, just like with the NAACP, we're not paid for what we do and what we contribute, and it's just having a compassion for people
Right.
and the service. And so I'm sure he was no different in that
Right.
regard.
Yes, that's true. And so today we're just going to talk a little bit about some different things that we're going to be working on, what we're looking at doing in the community. And we're going to give you the dates on our next show. Something that I just find it very rewarding. I can remember back in 2012 when I was first elected as president of this organization. The first thing that I did was I held a town hall meeting to basically get a field of what the community concerns were. And lo and behold, out of that town hall meeting, we had already received a complaint, but had not. We had spoken to someone about it, but actually had not went into full investigation. But during that town hall meeting, it was discovered and back then it was the Macon Police Department then. But back then there was a complaint filed with our office, and out of that town hall meeting, this complaint came out in this town hall meeting, and actually that officer ended up losing his job.
Wow.
And so it was an incident where he had handcuffed a 10-year-old about his dog. He was walking his dog. They lived in the same community, and he was going to teach this child a lesson, and the child was supposedly been aggravating his dog or something, but he actually came into her apartment and handcuffed this little 10-year-old. But anyway, I think it's very important. We haven't been able to do a lot of things publicly because of COVID, and we still have to be careful um, when we do gather, and we want to make it safe for everyone. But
Exactly.
we're going to be having town hall meetings throughout Macon, Bibb, because we do know there are many issues that needs to be addressed, and we want to hear from the community. Now, what we don't want to do is, and a lot of time, because this is the thing, people call me all the time. People that know me call me. People that I grew up with call me, and they're like, Gwen, we got this going on in our over here, folks, the yard and trash and all this kind of stuff. They just, different things that are going on. But when you have a meeting, they don't
They
show
don't
up.
show up.
So
That's
you got to file a complaint with our office, and this is something that I gotta, you can't really control it. You can control it, but people call you, they get your number, and they call, but you have to file a complaint with our office in order for us to assist you if we decide to, or we can listen to it and determine whether or not it's a case that fits within our vision and mission. And then that way we go from there. But these town hall meetings that's going to be held. They're going to be held for the benefit of the community because our mayor has done a lot of things in Macon Bibb. Uh, a lot of things that as far as light,
right.
he's trying to get that cleaned up. And what I do like, because me and my husband talked about, is the fact that he's not just focusing on one community.
Right.
We've had it before where it's just one side of town is focused on, and no, South Macon, East
East
Macon,
Macon and
West Bibb, but then those communities are not focused on. So the only areas that we're focused on is certain sides of town, Women's Road, different out that way, and so he has focused on cleaning, Macon Bibb up
right.
as a whole. Mr. Dumas and I actually was at a press conference where he announced the collaboration of the sheriff department and the GBIs, and then the U.S. Attorney Office was there also. This new gang task force is supposed to be coming out, and as you know, Macon Bibb do have gangs here in Macon,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
so we that's something that they will be dealing with. They did the press conference. We were there. Um, as the press conference, we were invited. The NAACP was invited there, so we did attend the press conference. But these town hall meetings need to take place because there's other issues besides blight and whatever is going on in your community. You need to be at this meeting
To
so you
voice
can
those concerns.
right,
Yeah.
because there's no point of getting after the meeting calling me and saying Gwen or Miss Westbrook, you know, y'all had a town hall meeting and I got this over there. I'm sorry, because that way, if you come to this meeting, then you can express your concerns or your issue. It's going to be somebody there that's going to be taking notes and everything that's being spoken or said or their concerns. We're going to have someone there taking notes. We're going to have people there that's in the community, different people that'll be on serve on a panel. We do know that Macon, Georgia, period, is known for house fires.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a big thing that we're going to have someone there to talk about that. Anyone that does not have a smoke detector, they're going to be there to make sure they can get those to you. Everybody should have a smoke detector in their homes.
That
And
was a
so,
fire just last evening, I believe,
yeah.
here in Macon.
And so, you know, concerns with safety. We hope to have every commissioner for that particular area. We hope to have them there at the meeting so you can address your concerns, violence, whatever the issue may be. Some people may be there that actually have complaints that they need to file with the NAACP. We'll have someone there to take those complaints. So we're going to start out in the South Macon area first. That's why we will be starting out. We're going to go to South Macon. Our next area will be the I think it's Pleasant Hill.
Pleasant Hill.
Will be the next area, and then we'll move to Unionville, then Bloomfield, and then we'll move to East Macon, and then we'll be moving to South Bibb and North Macon,
Absolutely.
and possibly Lizelle. I know they have some things that were happening out there, so we're going to be having some town hall meetings throughout Macon Bibb, and so it's not going to be, we want to do it at a time where people are going to be off from work. Some will be on Saturdays and some will be through the week because it doesn't get dark till late, about 8 o'clock. So we'll most likely start the meeting no later than 6 o'clock in the evening, and hopefully we'll be finished. We'll an hour and a half. We'll be ready to those meetings, and also we're going to be having resume building that we're going to be doing. And so what we're going to be setting up a workshop where we can have people that need their resumes done. We can help you build your resume and get it printed out for you then, print you some copies out, and even possibly get it on a flash drive, a hard drive for you. So the only thing you can just do is just stick it in your computer and print it out in case you need additional copies. And that way you also can update it if you need to. So I know that a lot of people do have, they're applying for jobs, and nowadays that's what they ask for, resumes.
Right.
And so that's something that you'll have where you'll be able to make changes to it. We're also going to be having a workshop on record restriction. They call it expungement record restriction. So we're going to be working with our district attorney on that to get that set up. I've actually got a phone call this weekend. People, my phone, people send me through Messenger, and so a person was actually charged, and the grand jury did not indict that person on it. And so it's an issue for him, trying to get a job and different things like that because it's still showing there and there's no disposition on it. So we gotta help him get we sent him a copy of a complaint form so he can send it back so we can try to help him get that off of his record. So my concerns is too, that's a little bit that we need to talk about, and we're gonna have a district attorney on the show. I've already spoken with her. We just got to get a date set up for next month because this month is already gone. But my concern is these dead docket cases, and and I'm not giving legal advice or anything like that, but I am familiar with the law. So
Absolutely.
so dead docket cases, a lot of times, you have these cases where they say they don't have enough evidence to actually convict you. So they dead docket it and just leave it there, just sit there. And so if you get in trouble again, then they can bring that case back up and then use that case against you. So it's just crazy. They don't have enough evidence to convict you on it, but then they can bring it up again and then use that towards your conviction. So, but the thing about it is, and last time I checked, and I don't know if it's changed, but it's like there's no statute of limitation on dead docket cases,
Wow.
so we can just stay there
And just
so,
hang over your head.
right? And so that's something that we're gonna, I need to look into to see if they've set a statute of limitation now, and so those are I've got some cases like that, some complaints with that also that those are cases that you actually have to go in and look at, pull the case and so to determine, if it is, you know, some cases have a history. And so you got to look at all that to even see if if it's dead docketed, would the district attorney even consider dismissing it,
Right.
and so we got a couple complaints with that as far as dead docket. Hopefully, when we have this record expungement, we can actually talk about that. But like I say, when cases are dead docketed, a lot of times it's more in depth. So you at this record restriction, you probably won't be able to, get a whole lot of information with those type of cases. That's why we got to look those up before and look into them.
What was this code that was passed through the state dealing with, had something to do with the water authority?
Yes, and so we're gonna address that, Mr. Dumas. I'm gonna and I forgot to put that on our agenda tonight. What I probably do is go back and amend it and then send it out again before the meeting. But we were there at the state capitol during the session, and so what this bill is, I think this bill was introduced by Kennedy, because I remember pulling the bill. And what it does is, now this doesn't make sense. They're actually doing this also for the solicitors and the district attorneys.
Right.
I think that bill was passed, but I don't think it goes into effect until 2024. So what's happened is they always bring it back, and it got to be addressed. But they actually mentioned Desmond Brown's name.
Right.
And so they say it stemmed from Desmond Brown because it was a conflict of interest for, a conflict of interest case, and they really couldn't do anything about it, I guess because of the way the bylaws were written. So the governor has now signed a bill into law, saying that if, I guess if malfeasance or whatever, if it's a conflict and they actually, they
Can prove it, I guess.
with the conflict, if it is a conflict and they actually break the bylaws, whatever that's set up, then the water authority and it's actually for the board members and employees. They can actually remove you. But this is not what's not making sense to me. Now, the people voted you in,
Right.
but the water board can actually vote you out. But you were not, you were voted in by the people. Now, how is it that the governor can pass a law, put a bill into law that says that, but the district attorney can't investigate the water board? They are actually above the law. The president of the United States, a former president of the United States, can actually be investigated and indicted, but not certain board members.
Wow.
They are actually above the law. They can't be. So they were first trying to say they were private. They're not private because they're governed by the state laws, and so they're
Right.
voted in by the people, but they can be removed by the board.
Mhm.
But then the district attorney can't investigate. But they can. But Desmond Bryan could be investigated. But certain board members of the Water Authority cannot be investigated by the district attorney, who her job is to hold people accountable for breaking the law.
Right.
So to me, that says that they're above law. So they got a judge to come in and step in and say they couldn't be investigated, but he didn't step in when Desmond Bryan was being investigated.
Right.
And so it is not making sense. So either the law is blind or either is not blind. Either they see color or they don't see color. But from what I'm looking at it, they see color. Now I did get some information when this first thing first started. I'm not gonna talk too much about it because I want to talk about something else. But I did an open record request, and the attorney for the Water Authority was at the time was Virgil Adams. And so I did get some information. Now, all this started when Desmond Brown blew the whistle. I'm reading the actual meeting that took place,
Right.
the minutes. And a map was redrawn by one of the board members, and it was sent to the state, one member. And so Desmond Brown questioned that because it wasn't brought to the meeting and it wasn't discussed, and it's considered gerrymandering the way they drew the map. It actually took voters from him that could have possibly caused him to lose the election. And I'm just saying, and we're not talking political, we're talking about the NAACP is not a political organization, but what we do is we deal with the fact that when people voting rights are not protected.
Right.
So when you start gerrymandering and moving the line to fit so somebody can win an election, which actually took, because a board member had moved, it took them out of their district, and so they would have had to step down.
Exactly.
So now I'm looking at Commissioner Lucas said, thanks for the support of the opposition of the buzz for increased fees will not be increased this year. And that is true. That at the commissioners meeting that was announced, the commissioners and the mayor, it was on the agenda, and the commissioners voted not to increase the bus fares, which was a win-win situation because
Absolutely.
basically the people that were going to be mostly affected by it is people on a fixed income and people that are disabled.
Right.
So we're thankful for the mayor and the commissioners for voting to increase the bus fares. We want to thank you all for that.
Absolutely.
So we will be addressing that with this water thing. And I know that, if you noticed, they wanted to push this so quickly because this bill that was actually introduced could have affected them if the district attorney was allowed to investigate them and found out that they had did something wrong. This new bill could have affected them also.
Right.
But so I'm just trying to figure out how they above, if the former president of the United States can be investigated and indicted, how is it that the Water Authority is above the law, that they can't be investigated and indicted by the district attorney? The former president can be indicted by the district attorney. It's not making
Yeah, it
sense.
doesn't make a whole lot of
So we're
sense,
gonna
really.
send a letter and address that. We just want to make sure that it's one law, and we want to make sure that everybody's treated the same on a standpoint from the NAACP. It shouldn't be two separate laws when it comes to uh, black and white.
Exactly.
And so, the judge can step in for one thing, but he can't step in for, he can step in for one board member, but can't step in for another board member. And that's clearly racial prejudice to me.
Absolutely.
But I want to talk about this, you all. This is something that, and I wanted to kind of get it out there because it's happening to me. And I just want people to be very careful of their surroundings. I'm at a standpoint, in a position now, I'm trying to make some decisions as to what to do next. But a lot of you do not know that. Some people think that the NAACP is my only job, which it is not. I worked at the medical center for 22 years, over 22 years. I retired from there, and then I retired from the state of Georgia, which was from the Department of Family and Children Services here in Bibb County. I retired back in December of last year, 2022. And so upon me getting ready to leave, I started receiving phone calls from a client, which is not, unknown, which is not, it's
Unusual,
normal. It's normal. And so, but the thing was, when this card came out with these $300 from the governor's office, a lot of people got that confused. They thought that it was coming from the Department of Family and Children Services, which it was not. So I started getting phone calls from a client that just would not. He just refused to believe that the cards were not coming from the Department of Family and Children Services, and I was basically cursed, called out of my name, just names that does not fit a lady.
Exactly.
And so as I, continued to, work, they would call back and they would, still insist. And so my last day of work, they called, and again, I said, we don't deal with that. He said, well, let me just, ma'am, I'm bipolar schizophrenic, and voices tell me to do what I do. And he asked me, did I live in a certain side of town? And I told him I was not going to disclose that to him. So that made me think that he had researched me.
Right.
And so as I retired on December 31st, I began to start getting phone calls at my home and my cell phone from this client. So as of last Sunday, he was still calling. It's really scary because I don't know who he is. He know who I am. I did do a police report in January. And because when he called like late at night, and it, you thinking, you answer the phone because you thinking when it's that time of morning, you think that, something's happened. And so he was, when I answered the phone, he was like, he said to me, I said, who is this? He told me his name. I said, how did you get my number? He said, I know people. And so the next day I did do a police report. They came out. Just showed a little interest. But as of last Sunday, he called me about 4:17 Sunday morning. The state has not done anything. They basically said that it was, HIPAA. But when you break the law, HIPAA goes out the window. When you're breaking the law, I can't get a restraining order. I can't protect myself or do anything because the state of Georgia Department of Family and Children Services will not do anything, will not release his address
Wow.
So I can't even protect myself. But I'm probably gonna have to end up filing a lawsuit or something to get some attention. And I do plan to go public with it. So maybe the state can, somebody else will see it and the state will act on it.
Absolutely. Well, we've run out of time, but we hope to see you on next week. So hope you enjoy your day. And
Thank you for
till next
listening.
time, have a wonderful
Thank you,
evening.
Ms. Lucas, for all you do in our community.
Absolutely.
This is Bernita Wilson.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants